Alright, hello everyone. Hold on, let me get the, alright. I'm Kon Shimada. I used to be the president of this team, and today I'm going to be continuing on episode 2 of this FRC match video review series that I'm doing for the team right now. Again, the structure of the series is about the micro and the macro aspects of the game, and understanding how to make the correct decisions given a certain amount of information, right? So, given what you know about the opponent, what are they most likely to do in your match, or given what you see during the match, how should you respond? Things like that. And then so we're going to be continuing with Team 4206. I don't know their name still, but it's a Texas District Championship, but the Apollo Division. I think for now I'm going to focus on sticking to Rapid React, but if there's other years that I see something good in, then I'll do that. But right now I think most people are familiar with Rapid React, so I'll stay with that. And we'll be going through Finals 2 and 3. Now, a disclaimer before we begin. Finals 3, the stream freezes for around 45-ish seconds. So there's going to be a lot of speculation. But don't worry about that too much. Also, I want to get to a state where people can predict what opponents' adaptations are going to be. And by adaptations, I mean if your opponents are doing this thing, then, for example, if it's a best of 3, right? So I think in the new, hold on, I didn't plug in my, that's a lot better. If you have 3 matches, right, and you won this one, how can you use what you learned in this match to change up your strategy for this upcoming match? Or say you lost this one. Okay, what can you use what you learned about this match and this match to make sure that you win this match, right? I understand with the double elimination format that's coming into this, into FRC, it's going to become a lot harder to do that in one setting or in one series. But if you look at this graph right here that first sent out, you can do things like, for example, if you're Alliance 1, right, you won your match, now you're on this match, and I realize this color is hard to see. Alright, we'll do green. You're Alliance 1, you won this match, you're on this match right now, right? Let's say you're facing Alliance 2, which is the most likely scenario. So you can watch their match here, you can watch their match here, you can see how they play, you can see how they play, you can see how they adapted to their opponents, you can see what what their alliance likes to do. You'll see in this series, in the final series, 148 and 6800 really like to do one thing, which is stay on opposite sides of the field, pretty much diagonal from each other, or at least they're on opposite sides of the hub, right? So you can do things like that to better inform your decisions going into the match. So let's get started. So okay, auto just finished. It didn't just finish. If you recall from the previous match, right, what did 4206 or what did Blue Alliance do, right? What Blue Alliance did, for the most part, that's kind of hard to see as well. Maybe we stick with green. What Blue Alliance did for the most part was they had 4206 playing on this side of the field, and they had Appreciate 2468 playing on this side of the field. 4206 played a hybrid style where when either 148 or 6800 were on this side of the field, on their side of the field, they would try to defend them, because their calculus was that these guys can score more than us on any given day. So it's more worth it for us to defend them, right? That was the calculus going in, and that's what we kind of went over with the hybrid style that they played. And then for 2468 over here, they just tried to score, right? But being on this side of the field, if there was a team, for example, 1748, who was trying to play man defense on them, it could potentially get in 148 or 6800's way, whoever was on this side of the field. And actually, whenever I get to the micro side, there is a match in this tournament where 4206 did something really cool that was really smart when they were getting defended. So that would be for a later time. But that was pretty much how the first match went, right? And then on the red side, 148 and 6800 played on opposite sides of the field. And then if one of them needed to score and they were, had fear of getting defended, they would go to the other side, and then their partner would transition back to the other side. They were trying to make sure to maximize the balls that they could get, because if there's 11 balls and 2 are being hoarded, that's 9, right? At any, specific time, there might be 1 or 2 inside the hub, kind of being processed, I'll say, or bouncing, Okay, so that's 7, 8 balls that are on the field. You really need to get those balls cycling, and the more balls you cycle, the more that you have available to you, right? So making sure that your 2 best scorers are on opposite sides of the field was really good. So that was a little recap from last time. Now let's watch finals 2. So one thing to note is, hold on, why is my taskbar not going away? All right. Anyways, these guys won the first match, right? So they're on the back foot. They need to usually change something, or they need to understand why they were losing that match. Obviously, they lost it, very closely, but still, they lost the match. So they need to understand what they did wrong, what they can do to improve next time. Another thing to note is that when you're in a series like this, it's very difficult, or it's a lot more difficult to predict what you need to change if you're the team that won. So they do have a slightly easier time because they can kind of see, like, this is kind of why we lost. When you win the first match, it might be a little harder to understand, like, why you lost. But I want to instill in people the idea that you have to be able to change something, or you have to at least understand why you won and at what points you could have lost, right? Because if you run the exact same thing, unless you vastly outclass the opponent, if you're like the first seed and you're going against the 8th seed, yeah, you probably don't have to change anything. But when it's a very close match, you don't want to say, oh, we won the first match, so let's just close it out, right? Because that's a recipe for disaster. So let's play. Okay, so first thing, 6800 immediately went to the other side, right? Immediately went to that other side. Now I want everyone to pay attention to where 4206 and 2468 are playing, because up until now they've been pretty much stuck together, right? They've been on the same side. They've been kind of being around the same places. Now I understand the 2 defense spots are kind of just duking it out with each other over here, which is probably not what they wanted to do, but you guys can kind of start to see how 4206 and 2468 are trying to play, right? And you can also see how 6800 and 148 are playing. They're running the same thing, pretty much they're doing the exact same thing. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing there, but they're pretty much doing the exact same things. Okay, so good amount of time has passed, so let's pause and understand what 4206 and 2468 are doing. You can kind of see that they aren't doing the same strategy that they did before, right? Before 42-6 would play here and they would play hybrid. They're not doing that anymore. Why is that? Well, the match was very close, and they probably felt that they needed to actually score more. They probably understand that these guys can, left unhindered, these guys are probably going to score more. So what they're probably trying to do is they need to, one, score more, but two, they also need to suppress these guys more. And so I think those are the reasons why they changed. If you kind of watch, I think, like around here, you can see the strategy in action pretty well. Yeah. So 42-6 are trying to shoot from closer. They're trying to control the tarmac area, right? They're obviously the balls are going to be further away, so they're going to have to go there, but they're trying to remain in this area. 24-68 on the other hand are trying to take longer angles. And what this does is when you have two robots that are going in, I'll say, a planetary style, you really disrupt these two choke points, right? Because there are two choke points created right here, where if that's the avenue for how 6800 and 148 are, trying to get to the other side, if you have two robots that are constantly going around through these, two lanes, it's going to be very difficult for you to get around, or it's gonna at least be a hindrance, right? So right now most of the red balls are on this side, and so that's why they're on this side. But you can see how 42-6 are always searching for the next ball, and actually every team is searching for the next ball, but I see it most apparently with them in 6800, where they're positioning themselves for the next ball within the map control they have. So it might be a little weird to phrase that, but one good example of map control was actually at the very beginning of the round, or the match. Okay. So auto ends, right? What does 6800 do? Watch what 6800 does. Oh, it's not this match, sorry. It's finals 3. But pretty much what they do is, I know they got pushed around a lot, but they try to take this area, right? And they're gonna do it in the other match too. Sorry, that was probably really weird, but you're probably like, what are they doing? They're trying to get to this angle, because being able to be around a certain area where you feel safe, right, to either intake, to shoot, to just drive around, because these guys are in the middle, so it's hard for them to see over here as well. Being able to get through that choke point really early on, and have free reign pretty much on all the balls that are going to be coming over here is really strong. So if you guys are looking to be a driver or a drive coach or a strategist, understanding where your movements affect what you do 20 seconds ahead is going to be really important, and that should inform what you do during a match. So let's go back. Okay, so I think we're around 80 seconds. Alright, so right now score's pretty tied, right? Score's pretty tied, both sides on opposite sides, they're kind of tussling back and forth. So you can see, it's a pretty close game so far. So what went wrong for these two teams, for the blue side, right? You'll see that eventually the score starts to diverge more and more. and okay, 40 seconds ago it was dead even. Now you're 15 points behind, and unless you have a huge endgame trick up your sleeve, by this point, if you're that far down, it's pretty much done. That doesn't mean obviously give up, but it's very difficult to claw it back when you're 15 points down at this point. So what happened, right? You're gonna see a lot of times in FRC matches where teams are pretty close, neck and neck, until around halfway through, and then suddenly the score starts to immediately diverge. And there's obviously a lot of factors that go into things like that, but in games like this where you're resource limited, right? And by that I mean your resources are your balls, right? How you get points, and because you have such a few number of them, that's what you're limited by. Part of it is down to luck, right? Straight up, it's just if the balls all land in unlucky places, which we'll see later on, it's gonna be very difficult for you to win. If the balls are all on your side and your top two scorers are just having free reign, then great, but in other situations, you should never chalk something up all just to luck, because you're never going to improve in that case, luck or unluck, right? So around here, yeah, match is still pretty close, right? So I'm just gonna be quiet and let's just watch where red are playing and where blue are playing. So already here, right, you're starting to see the signs of a losing match on the blue side. So what's going on? What's going on is, well, one, blue aren't making full use of all the balls, but also because of where 4219 are stationed, and because of where 426 and 2468 have to operate, they don't feel comfortable just shooting from wherever they got the balls, right? They have to look for the next opportunity, and they have to position themselves where they're safe. So before, where these two were operating a planetary motion, where they understood where they had to shoot from, and that was a safe place for them, it was predictable, that was working out really well for them. But suddenly 4219 plays here, they're pushing another robot around, right? The balls are all over the place, but we have no presence on this side of the field. It's a question mark, right? You don't know what they can do to you there. You're trying to score. Well, these guys are up. If all three robots at this point, or 20 seconds earlier, stopped scoring and all played man defense on each single one, you would still lose. So in those scenarios, like, you have to find ways to score, and positioning every time where you get a ball here, you come back here to score, that takes a long time and greatly increases your cycle times. So the end of this match, it's pretty done, pretty honest, to be honest. End game, people are scoring, he's gonna be doing little victory loops, whatever. That's why you tend to see games where you're like, oh, it's super close, and then it just falls apart. And obviously sometimes it's due to robots missing multiple times in a row, but a lot of times that's because the teams aren't playing in the best positions they could be, and that's costing you rounds or points. So we can skip forward here. Yeah, pretty much blowout, right? All right. And then the third. Oops. All right, the third match. So let's skip autonomous right here. Okay. right before time starts. Perfect. So let's understand what happened in the previous match, right? 4206 and 2468, their initial strategy of going around this way was working, right? And then they stopped scoring on this side of the field. So pretty much they became a score on, these places kind of team. They started getting each other's way. They started not being able to find comfortable positions to score from. And by that, I don't mean you find one nest and you just hunker down, right? Like the whole field can be a safe place for you to shoot from if all three robots are dead. So I don't mean you have to find the spot necessarily to shoot from, but they couldn't find much comfort in the positions they were playing. 148 and 6800, they could go wherever, and because no one was on this side, 148 was unimpeded, right? So they racked up the difference maker in points. Then once that happened, 6800 doesn't matter what they do, right? They could not score, they could just sit here, be annoying. It doesn't matter. 4219 would squat in the middle here, wasn't helping, right? That's how blue lost and that's how red won. Both teams understand that. So what do they do now to change it up, or to further increase their chances of winning? So I think you're gonna see what I talked about before with 6800, right? Barreling, right? Actually, I should rewind that just to show everyone again. These guys shoot, right? So okay, so at this point, right? Ball here, ball here, ball here, ball here. There's probably another ball around here. Why don't they get these balls, right? Two things, right? One, it's not safe. These balls are first rolling. You'd have to be chasing them. There's two robots right here that could, just bump into you, make it very hard for you to get these balls. Another reason is if you get these balls, right? It's the same concept they talked about before, where you got past these obstacles almost, right? You gained this much space, and so now you can go back and get these balls. You can pretty much operate in this area without being without being scared. Another component is balls like to go towards the walls. They will naturally, more than likely, roll to the edges, and so instead of focusing on whatever the nearest ball is, they go for it's 100. You have 130 seconds left. You have so much time, right? Go for the space. Go for where you can operate most safely for the next 40 seconds, or 30 seconds, and then go there. I would assume once those balls run out, they'll judge, okay, where can we go next, right? But that's kind of what they're doing so far. And 148 is just chilling on the other side, doing their thing. So interesting. So what they're doing so far, right? 4206 and 2468. What they're doing so far is okay. So there's two cool things that just happened. So these guys have realized, okay, we were too close to each other the last match, right? And the match before that, it was close. We won it, but that's because we separated. So they're separating now again, but if you remember back to the first match, actually I can just pull it up. Yeah, let me just pull it up real quick. Let's just briefly watch this. I'm gonna put it on 2x speed, but just quickly try to understand. This is 2x speed, right? Oh, sorry. See where 2468 are getting defended, right? Oh my god, I don't understand what's happening. It doesn't like being on 2x speed. Okay, never mind then. My internet should be fine, but okay, so I'm not gonna say anything, but let's just watch 2468, right? Are they operating at max efficiency? Clearly not, right? 1745 are being a pain in their butts. They're actually, you know, they're being pretty effective. Look, it's been, you know, 25 seconds and these guys haven't scored a single ball. They've just been driven out, right? So they understood that 1745 played pretty effective defense against them. So what can you do, right, in that scenario? So I guess a little thing about chasing in FRC. When you chase something, because there's things like input lag on your robots, because the drivers have to, you know, physically react to what they see on the field, and they have to physically react to what the drive coach is calling possibly, or, you know, oh, what is our alliance partner doing? If you're a defense bot, you're always chasing someone, right? Or sorry, you're not always chasing. If you're chasing someone as a defense bot, it's always going to be very, very hard if you're just following them. Because, for example, someone makes a turn, now you have to make this turn, right? Because you're going to be continuing this course. By the time you see this guy make the turn, you're like already over here. So you're always going to be taking a larger radius or a larger pathing, which makes it very difficult for you to be effective, right? So that's why you saw 17. This cursor is being very annoying. Okay, that's why you saw in the previous match, Finals 1, that they were really effective when they played here. Because if you were playing somewhere around here, you have a lot of opportunities to also juke your opponents out. But when you're in these tighter areas, it's a lot harder to do that, right? You can kind of move, you know, monkey in the middle, and chances are you're playing pretty effective defense. Obviously, don't do that, but, you know, I'm just saying it's a lot easier to play defense there. The other thing is positioning, right, and where your wheels are faced. So a lot of these teams have swerve drives, so it matters less. But, you know, in the case that you have a West Coast drive, or you're going against teams the West Coast drive, right, and even, you know, even in swerve situations, your wheels are facing a certain direction, right? Perpendicular is the strongest way to go up against, is the best way to push someone, right? Because now your contact area and kind of the traction, the pattern on your wheels, is meant for you to have traction this way. So if you were going against two robots like this, then, you know, it comes down to torque, it comes down to a lot of factors, but you're going to be a lot less effective than if you were pushing someone like this. Now, what does that have to do with this match, or in your future matches? Well, turning a robot takes a long time, right? Even if you're on swerve drive, pivoting from this, you know, your four wheels facing this way and moving forward to facing this way, right? Oh, it's not just input your controls. You have to react to something on the field, and the driver has to physically press that. And I forgot what the reaction time or things like that numbers were, but it's significant enough that it's going to be difficult if you're trying to chase something. So that's why when you're trying to score and outscore an opponent, that's another thing you have to consider, right? It's not just where's the nearest ball, it's where are you safe, right? And if you're not safe, how can you move to be more safe? Part of that might mean, going to a completely different side of the field, like how some of these teams are doing. Part of it might be, playing your strategy in a completely different way. So in this match, you're going to see 2468 and 4206 split the field again, like they did before. But this time, they split it this way. It doesn't look like that right now. Sorry, but there's also another thing I wanted to show, so I'm just gonna pause it here for now. They split it this way. One team plays up here, another team plays up here, right? What this does is gives you area, gives you room around here and around here to play around defense, right? Yes, you are incorporating a choke point, but now that's a choke point where you can manage, because you know that you're pretty free to score here. And because if a ball was here, on the sides, there's a pretty high chance that it'll get kicked out to the edges. You give yourself room to work with. Another thing is if you're being played man defense on, a robot is following you around like a stalker, right? Changing things up mid-game or mid-series is very, very crucial, because now your opponents are going to be confused. The human instinct will be to go into follow mode rather than predict mode, because when you're in predict mode, you can say, these guys are playing like this, they're probably going to score from here or here. Oh, that's the next ball, let's go over there to defend them, right? Or let's position ourselves this way so that we can intercept them. But when people change things up, randomly on you, or seemingly randomly on you, you're going to be in follow mode. And when you're in follow mode, you're less effective as a defender. Now, the other thing I wanted to show, which is pretty cool and relates to positioning, and I understand, I guess this is a lot more micro than I expected it to be, but I don't really want to come back to this match and explain things again, so apologies. But it does relate to the macro a lot. So, because I'm trying to introduce in this episode at least, like, understanding where you can go on the field, and it goes a lot deeper than where's my next ball, right? Or where is the target, where is the goal. So watch 6800 here and see what they do. All right, so here they're just speeding, right? They're just speeding. They have 2 balls with them. There are 4 balls here, right? Now, I think a lot of teams, less experienced teams, or with less drive coaches or drivers that are not thinking ahead as much. I mean, these guys got the 2 balls, way back. Sorry, I don't know why. Right, they got the 2 balls. They're getting the first ball and then the second, right? They got the 2 balls here, and we know they can score from here. We know that, and there's no one around them. So why are they speeding towards here, right? And the reason is what I've been, harping on about this whole time, about going into positions where you are safe to do things. So these guys know they can go anywhere to score. But the balls, again, are the resources, the commodities here. And so going to the spot where there are going to be balls, make sure that you don't lose as much momentum. Because if you sit in one place, right, imagine you're a robot sitting right here, and you're scoring, and then you have people feeding you balls. and then just keeps repeating, you're gonna be a lot more effective than the robot that has to move all the way around to get balls. Even if the balls are clustered together and you don't have to search necessarily, not having to move is really valuable. So that's why you'll see a lot of teams like feed balls to their top scorer, right? They would send balls downstream. But watch 6800 here. They shot, they barely had to move, and now they already have 2 balls. They can shoot again, right? So that's a succession of points that is really, really important. And look, they're still staying around here, and they're doing great. So things like that, where you're looking ahead, right, to inform your decisions. That's really important. I guess it would be more macro because you're not reacting to something that's happening to you specifically, but keeping in mind, okay, where are my alliance partners, where are my opponents? I think the stream freezes around here, or sorry, no, we have a little bit more. But right now, right, I want you to look, and these are things that I hope people are noticing as they watch matches. Look at where all the red balls are, right? There's 2, I think, down here. There's 2 over here. There's like a few. There's probably 1 or 2 here. There's 1 here, right? Look at where the blue balls are. Right here. Probably a few, 1 or 2 here. But there's a very big cluster here. And keep watching where the blue balls end up. Oops. They've bounced, they've bounced, they've bounced. Look at that. Look at that, right? Again, this is another micro/macro thing. So I want you to focus on 2 different things, right? One, the positioning of the blue alliance. So there are 4 balls over here, and I think a 5th one here. Yep, a 5th one right there. Right, so there are 5 balls here. Assuming there are 9 on the field, that's way more than half, right? And then there's 1 here, I think 1 here that's falling out. So I think 1 there. So that's 8 out of the 9 balls accounted for, right? That's a massive majority, and these guys know that. And 4219 were playing, I think, defense on this side. I wasn't really watching them, but I think they were playing defense, so they're operating on this side. So they're near the balls, but they're not the ones who are going to score. And I think they're hoarding, so they can't even get more balls. Right? These guys are ball starved over here. And because of the way they split the field, it's not inappropriate for them to get these balls. Right? And it would be good to do that, because if you have one robot that's, getting the ball, scoring, getting the ball, scoring, that's really inefficient. And we know that 2468 can only score from the tarmac line. Oh shoot, I didn't mention that for the last match. But yeah, the last match, 2468 were almost always shooting from the tarmac line, which is kind of weird considering they were supposed to be taking the outer ring. So yeah, I think that is another area that could have been improved upon, but they didn't run it here, so it's fine. And then, and then the second thing I want you to watch is 148, right? 148 is this big black robot right here. I think that's 148. Could be this one, actually. No, I think it's this one. I think that's 6800. Oh wait, no, I'm stupid. I'm so stupid. 148 is this robot. So watch that robot too. Keep an eye out for them. Look at that. I know they missed the ball, but look at that, right? There's 5 balls right now, right here, right? And they know they have to come get it. So the last 5 seconds, 10 seconds was really, if you just, do a heat map of where all the robots are moving, look. In this small area, there are essentially 3 blue robots here, which means all of this is where red can feel comfortable. They can do whatever they want, and they know they're not going to get defended, right? So there's obviously, it was lucky that there were red balls here, but even if there weren't, I would assume that they come over here to score, because this is free. This is free land, right? And you can see sort of this mad dash of blue robots to get these balls. I think 4219 kind of trolled by not moving out of there, but they were also kind of trapped because they had, you know, this is their only escape route, right? And they don't want to hit them because they don't want to incur a penalty. So, you know, kind of unlucky for them. But as soon as the blue robots, you know, run towards this side, 148 are moving out towards this side, and they're taking advantage, right? Look, they're pretty much, you know, it's a shooting gallery. Yeah, I know they missed that ball, but still, look at that. You know? And then you can see 4206 and 2468 come back to this side, the left side, to score. And that's because there are way too many robots on this side of the field, right? Look at that. There was a mad rush a little bit ago, and now all the blue robots are on this side of the field. Like that is very erratic movement, and the reason is because they didn't feel safe, you know, shooting here. Now, would it have been better if, you know, one of them stayed on one side, possibly, to prevent 6800 from scoring? You know, they're actually not touching the. This is one thing I noticed, is a lot of teams don't actually touch the launch pad. They just kind of sit near it, because you can't see if they're actually touching it or not, so you're not going to take that risk. So that's another thing. If you want to do, is you could kind of manipulate that, but yeah, it's very interesting to watch where they go, right? They got the balls here. Why didn't they just shoot from there, right? Too crowded. And they're up, so, you know, it's worth it, more worth it. But you can kind of see, so I think the stream freezes pretty soon. I think when red hits 80. Yeah, so the stream freezes. But right now they're up by 5 points, right? But look at where the balls are, right? Over here, and over here, over here. And red is wherever. So 2 problems with this. When you have robots that can't shoot from further away, that's extra cycle time. And when your predetermined strategy was to, you know, kind of operate along this meridian, and you don't adjust to the resources that you see, which is the balls, it's gonna be more difficult for you to get the balls, right? Now, blue are actually going to end up winning in terms of the cargo, and they're going to lose because of the end game points. Sorry to spoil that, but so again, I'm not sure what happened. I know 148 were missing, you know, a few shots here and there. Again, I don't know, right? But one thing to note, this is completely unrelated to blue winning the cargo department, but balls that are over here along the wall, and especially in the hangar area, are very hard to see, right? Because I think I mentioned in the previous one, but each driver station has a field of view, right? And they have this blind spot that is hard for them to see. So you saw some autonomouses in Houston where they would literally hide a ball right here, and sometimes that ball would remain literally untouched the entire match because no one can see it. And you're effectively getting another ball hoarded, right? That's huge, especially when there's only 11 balls. And then these aluminum barriers are actually pretty high, so when a ball is just, sitting right under there, unless you're directly aiming for it, it's very hard for you to actually see it. And so that's why you saw in some competitions where the human player would like have some signals ready. They would have some signals ready so that they would know like there are balls here, there are balls here, there's a guy here. So again, that's another use of the human player rather than acting as a timer or acting as another set of eyes. They could act as another set of eyes from a different angle, right? That's the key point, is they're at a different angle. But yeah, the match is gonna end. Yeah. So they're 18. Wait, are they 18 points ahead? No, they're 13 points ahead in terms of cargo, right? Or sorry, 13 points ahead in general, but they're gonna, I think the problem was that they're touching each other or something, so their endgame points didn't count, is what I'm assuming just from like this picture. But so that's the match. So yeah, that was my analysis on two matches, finals 1 or finals 2 and finals 3. I understand, right, that it might seem like I'm overcomplicating things, and I definitely am. I'm not gonna lie, like no one's actually thinking about all this when you're on the field, and it would be ridiculous to do so. But what these guys are doing is intuitive, and it's off of years of watching games and understanding how these games work. And so by going through like that thought process of my overthinking brain, I hope I can kind of show you how to think, so that it's easier to understand. So again, if you have any questions and I am not reachable by normal methods of communication, then you can always email me. But for now, thank you for watching. I think the next one I'm gonna go into, actually I don't know what I'm going to, but I think I'm gonna focus still on the macro side. I might do Houston finals. So yeah, but yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.